Is anyone else jamming out to the music? I'm always trying to find the right vibe. I stick to like what they call their hip hop playlist, but I never know. It kind of sounds like elevator music. Da-na-na-na, da, da. Okay, my tune is way off. Everybody, I am so excited to have you all here. Today is going to be a great day. They have so many great guests. We have Grace Clarke from Shopify side, but also does so many incredible things on her own. And then we have Savannah Sanchez, who's joining us a little bit later in the programming. Everybody, if this is your first time here, welcome to ThumbstopLive presented by Motion. We are live every single Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, and we are streaming across X, LinkedIn, YouTube Live, Instagram, wherever you want it, you can catch us. Now, what I will say here is if you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest of which guests are joining us, the clips that we're posting of the most interesting findings, all of that good stuff, where you can check us out is on X at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive. Tap in, y'all. It's going to be a good time. All right? Ready? Let's go. So without further ado, I would love to welcome our first guest to the stage. We have Grace, who's joining us.
Hello. Hello from Canada.
Welcome to, you're in Toronto.
I'm down the block.
Oh my God, that's so funny. We should have tried to find a way to make it happen. Lots going
I
on. It's all good.
I know. But next time I'm here, I'm going to actually be here and we can be on the same side. So it won't be a split screen. We'll be together.
Oh my gosh, what a change. What a change. It's so good to see you. When did you
Good to see you
here?
too. I got here last night and 8 hours later, I am at Meta and hanging out with our partners over here. And I just learned that there is a whole floor I can't go to because their generative AI team moved here. So
Jesus.
Classified information somewhere happening here.
In the classified information, the good things, the exciting things are being worked on.
But it's an awesome time to be meeting with all of our partners. It's almost BFCM season in a real serious way, which means we are sort of living in the end of summer, but we're also living in November. But we're also now working with companies who are trying to place their orders for January. So it's a wild time. There is some sort of back to school energy, I think, happening in the email world, which I am seeing in my DMs. People are getting together. People are like taking weekends away. I'm loving it.
I'm not mad at it at all. I feel like that's right. Take the energy and let's fly. Grace, it's so nice to have you here. There's a bunch of things I want to chat through, but I'm wondering, for those who might not know you, if we start off nice and easy with a quick, tell us about yourself, a little bit of work experience, a little bit of whatever, and then we'll kind of take it from there if that works.
Of course. Okay, head of community at Shopify means that I'm in a new role for this company. And of course, hindsight's 2020. So if we look back at the way I've spent the 15 years that I've been working, of course, it all makes sense. And all roads lead to head of community and all roads lead to Shopify. But the business that I'm in right now is really doing two things. It's looking after Shopify's brands, merchants, sellers, companies, whatever name they go by, they are who I care about, whatever they answer to. And that's everyone from a person who has the idea to one day be on Shopify to someone who's had an exit and is a former merchant. I care about that group. Entrepreneurism is in my blood. I truly live and breathe this world. And then the other side that I get to look after and care for are our partners. Motion, Meta, OpenAI, TikTok. We're all looking after the same world, and we all believe that commerce and entrepreneurism should be easier and better, and that I think we're all kind of in the business of reducing the courage to start or to grow. It feels like it's more of a purpose than a position. Anyway, what does community mean? I think community means that I am a living billboard for Shopify, and I get to make all the brand values feel like something that people can experience and then believe in. And the best example of that, well, so many examples of that, but one I'm really excited about right now is looking at little pockets of places in the country that aren't New York and that aren't Chicago and aren't Austin, and finding places where there happen to be entrepreneurs who need to be introduced and brought together and given some support. So if anyone is in a city And it's not New York, no offense. New York's covered. I'm there for you guys. But if you're in Jackson or if you're in Atlanta or Houston and you want someone to come introduce all of you guys, put you all in a group chat, take you to dinner and say, listen, I'm going to put you together and then get out of the room. And I'm here if you need me as the head of community, if you want an intro to someone, if you want an intro to each other, if you need some support with Shopify, help me, like bring you guys together and then I'll get out of the room. Like no one needs me there. They just need to know each other. But in the past, okay, this is the takeaway of my career is I've never had a job that existed before I got there. The first day I got hired at Madewell, my job was, Madewell was part of J. Crew, women's and now men's clothing company. My job was get our handle on Instagram. And then by the time I left, we had launched creator partnerships. We had launched affiliate marketing, community marketing. And then I repeated that throughout my career. And now I teach women entrepreneurs how to play poker, monthly game in New York. I lose money every time. And I also get to manage a separate group of 200 founders. And with my partner, Eva Gokochea, the founder of Mod, we take founders across the world and bring them together. And it's a non-conference conference. I really care about understanding what entrepreneurs think about and how to raise the tide. It's a very like ungatekeepy community.
I love this. Grace, I've always appreciated our conversation. Also, shout out to Emmett in the chat. I feel like Emmett's been hitting us up back and forth. So Emmett, real one.
Put the words right out of my mouth. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. And you mentioned Eva, so shout out to Eva as well.
Major shout out to Eva. Happy birthday to Eva.
Okay, happy birthdays in the chat. There we go. I guess what I'm curious about is like, there's two things. Let's start higher level, then let's get into the tactical pieces. At the higher level piece, entrepreneurship. So it sounds like you've supported entrepreneurship quite a bit throughout your career. And then you've started a lot of 0 to 1 roles yourself. Would you say an entrepreneurial bug has always been inside of you since like the beginning of time, or how would you describe it?
I'm going to put that back at you in a minute because I think you could say the same. But being an entrepreneur is much more of an approach to a filter for how you think than the desire to stand things up. It happens to be the thing we like to do. But I find that the people I'm closest with, personally, professionally, are the people who are interested in 3 things. One is this like healthy contrarianism and not taking things at face value. 2 are people who like debate and like interrogating themselves, who see tension as something to run toward and understand and put their arms around and be friends with. And then 3 is that people who understand that we're all better together, like team players. And I am not an athlete. I famously hate playing sports. Got kicked off the soccer team, ran track, which was an independent thing, didn't even like that. But I have never felt like more of an athlete than I have in the last 96 days at Shopify. I have been craving this feeling. And I thought joining a big company or any company would mean hanging up my entrepreneur hat. But now I'm running a startup inside of a startup. It is, that's why I think it is a mindset that you bring, and it's contagious. And it's a very quick filter for the people who like it or don't. Because you want someone around who is down to weather the storm. I imagine the same thing is true of romantic and life partners. We're choosing the same thing. And I want someone, yes, Emmett just said they give you a second hat. We're truly so better together. And I think about what Michael Phelps's swim coach used to say. Have you heard of the concept of playing the VHS, playing the tape? Okay. What his coach did was encourage him to every night before a race, close your eyes and imagine winning the race, swimming your best race, imagining it. And it's called, in other circles, future pacing. It's called sort of planning your future. It gives our body a literal thing to react to. It's like how when we look at a billboard, we can't help but read if we know how to read. If we pre-plan and rehearse a situation or a conversation or a challenge in our mind, we are so significantly more predisposed to achieve what we want, behave the way we want. So I do a lot of rehearsal. I do a lot of like pre-running my own tape. And then I listen back to my game tape. I record every conversation. I listen back to it. I take notes. Like dollar for dollar, that is such a way to leapfrog my own growth. And doing that with a team, imagine everyone just compounding learnings. And that's why I think entrepreneurship is more in your head than what you do. I don't
I
know. What do
love
you think?
That's incredible. That's incredible. I feel like there's a term for this. Like they call it being an entrepreneur when you're at a company, but it like still encapsulates ultimately having the entrepreneurial mindset. But Grace, that was incredible. You know why I'm doing this. It's like for the clips that we get after, and I feel like you gave
Take
such
the
good
clips. Take
clips
the
in
clips.
there.
Take the clips. Let's do some hot takes too. I came with them. We can do them later, but
We can do them now if you want. There's other things I want to talk about, but it's all good. I feel like we start
okay, great.
there.
No, take it away. I have lists of clips for us.
So the funny thing is like the clips are actually so on YouTube Shorts, we're getting thousands of views on these things, which is pretty good, like unexpected.
Are you
Unexpected.
ever gonna do a session or write about like the learning, like week over week
I
about this
should.
of standing up something new?
I should. I
Voice
put out
note?
one tweet thread, but that was it. But I
No, it's not
should.
enough. No, every day you need to voice note ChatGPT or your platform of choice a little 2-minute video voice note about what you're learning, and then it'll make you a thing that you can export as a playbook for people who want to learn how to stream.
Oh, you're inspiring me.
And then you
Okay, I
come to
gotta do it.
Shopify and you teach my founders how to stream.
Okay. Well, you're inspiring
Okay.
me. I can do it now. I believe in myself. We can make it happen.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
but before we get into the hot takes, I guess like one of the things I'm curious about is like our audience. We have so many marketers who, and that ranges from like a brand marketer to a creative strategist to a designer to a head of growth, a CMO, a media buyer, all that kind of stuff. Now, you've lived a very interesting path in your marketing journey and now in the community world. What I am curious about is there a difference between marketing and community in your mind?
Yes. Oh my gosh. A great thing for us to differentiate. First of all, do you want to answer what you think?
On marketing and community? I can if you'd like.
I'm curious. Yeah. First of all, this is actually, we'll do some role play of marketing and community
Sure.
in real time. Marketing would be if I were to tell you what community is. Community is when I start a conversation with you or use this as a way to social listen. And hearing what Evan Lee from Motion thinks about community versus marketing, great. You might unlock an idea in me. So I'm not going to miss a chance. I'm expanding my luck surface area.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to debate this anyway, but this is communal. So
Yeah.
tell me, what do you
So
think?
my thoughts are ever evolving, but how I'm feeling, especially in the last couple weeks, is that anything marketing, anything community, and then anything like experience after, so landing page experience or a ebook or whatever it might be, all of this is becoming one in my mind. And I've more so said this in the past to my team around like, hey, we talk a lot about paid media at Motion, but organic and paid are starting to become one. So in my mind, the way that I'm thinking about it is like, as we continue to push forward, there's a lot of like end consumers who are growing up now, and like those are the Gen Zers who are buying, and I'm thinking about them a ton, right? And it's like, how do they consume content and how do they engage? And a lot of it is never just this one-way street anymore. Like they're jumping on lives, they're now adding a ton of comments, they're adding so many different reviews across the way. Like they want to interact and have a communication back and forth. And those interactions and going back and forth ultimately create a community, is kind of how I'm seeing it. And where this is playing out more than ever for me is like with content creators. So shout out to like Dara, for example, right? So it's like with content creators themselves, like they're almost creating mini series and TV shows in their worlds that are building up cult followings. Now, is that marketing in a traditional sense? For sure. But what's ultimately happening in my mind is they are building a community of people around them. So where my last thought gets to this, and it's very specific to Motion, is I was talking to our marketing team yesterday, and like, I don't know if we're gonna do this. This is just top of mind for me. I'm like, hey, I honestly don't think we're marketers. Like, I don't think we call ourselves marketers anymore. Like, I think we are content creators. Like, that's what we want to do, and like build communities around us individually, and therefore the company at this point. So I'm still evolving in thought, as you can tell, but that's where my head's at this point. But very curious to get your opinions.
I'm going to argue with you, and
Cool.
we're going to get to a place where we both feel like we learned something. Can I share my screen?
Oh yeah,
Do you want to see something
I do.
from inside the world of Shopify? Okay, no one's seen this on the outside. think it's great. Wes. All right. This is going to answer the question, why does community differ from marketing? And I'm going to answer it through the lens of why it matters. And by the end, I want to tell you if you could swap out the title of this slide and put marketing.
Perfect.
All right. So I use this when I'm talking with my internal partners about what community is for Shopify. I actually want to show you this. This is not a funnel. Marketing is talked about like a funnel, and community is not a channel. It's a living layer that is compounding return. It's not a cost center. It's a force multiplier. So imagine you're this person and you're over here and you find out about Shopify, or you're already on Shopify. You're an entrepreneur who uses Shopify. You're a consultant. You come in here and you spend time in our world. You come to an event, you meet a product marketer, you learn about Sidekick, you learn about our agentic AI, you talk about it with other friends, you meet an investor, you learn something in a group chat that I put you in with other entrepreneurs, you come to a dinner at my house, I teach you how to play poker. And all along the way, it's like a rolling stone that gathers moss. But I'm not attributing that. I'm not looking at you like a number on a spreadsheet. I'm not looking at you like attributed growth that I can credit to Meta or Google. You're a human, and this is relationship building. So the best thing I can do is not make it easy for you to talk about Shopify, but make it valuable enough for you to talk about Shopify. So here's what community does. Compounds, like 1 + 1 = 4, 5, 6, 10. That's not what I'm going for. It's a happy accident if I do my job right. Community makes Shopify, I'm talking about Shopify right now, but this could apply to anything. It gives soul to whatever your marketing is. The best indicator of whether or not you're a valuable living brand, if you're a consumer, I think, is if you're talked about in spaces you're not. If people talk about you on Reddit, if you're where you're not allowed to have a conversation, like you want that, and you want your values to be reasons that people come together, even if your logo is not there. It's also a way to say, like, here's our product, here's our value. It's underpinning everything we do, but it's kind of like taking a back seat. It's in disguise. You know, do you have a dog?
I don't, no.
Okay. Well, anyone who has a dog will understand this analogy. When you have a dog and you give them medicine and you put it inside a spoonful of peanut butter or inside a piece of cheese, they're getting the benefit of that, but they're also getting something so much better, something so much more enjoyable. And I like to think that when you give someone an educational and entertaining and inspiring experience, they're getting all of it, but they don't come to hear necessarily about the technical elements of building a store. They want to come to figure out how they can grow alongside the other people. So I think community is kind of magic. Also, best thing about community is you are doing social listening on steroids. Even in this, I'm looking at the conversations that are happening in this chat. That's social listening and that's community. Imagine what happens when I get 200 people on Shopify in a room. I get to learn what matters to them. Not what matters to my business, but what matters to them. I do polls. I have a bunch of them in a private WhatsApp group. I ask them what's on their mind every month. I ask them what they care about, what they don't care about. It always challenges my bias, but I'm not serving them if I don't understand them. And also it increases our luck surface area. If you think of marketing as like a big megaphone, sure, you might be sprinkling everywhere, but I like the ability to say community also means that I get coffee with a couple of merchants or consultants or people in the world of entrepreneurism in some way, because we're all building different roads and bridges in e-com. The original infrastructure of e-com were railroads and cars and bridges. Shopify is the digital version of that. So my job is to keep those connections warm and alive and supported and healthy. I want you to tell me now. Is this marketing or what? Do you see a difference or no?
I don't think so. I think this is still marketing. Like I'm struggling, struggling to delineate, because like when I look at this, what I hear are tighter knit communities, but then I also hear like the idea of, hey, someone's going to talk about you on Reddit, and it's like a conversation that you've inspired that they've now taken somewhere else. But like the role of marketing is like to scale the brand, right? I think.
Good question. Yeah, is there a universal definition?
I kind of, the end goal would be some version of sale, but to get
That's
there,
true.
like
Yeah.
like that always exists. But then to get there, it's like when I think of community, like here's an interesting question. Like in the Shopify ecosystem, what is considered a community touch point for you versus like a marketing touch point? I have an example that I'm thinking of, like a very specific one in my
Well,
mind.
tell me.
Okay, so the one that I'm thinking of is like on YouTube. Shopify has a channel. It's like Learn with Shopify, I believe it's called, right? So if I pull it up with Shopify, and then I'll share my screen so everyone can see what I'm talking about here.
Emmett wants to know what marketing is.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to figure out at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like the language to articulate what marketing actually is. But when I pop in here, one of the cool things is the way that I was introduced to the Learn with Shopify ecosystem, which already has 789,000 followers, is through Michelle Bali. So Michelle used to work at a company that I worked with when they were at Motion, and she's always created
Michelle.
she's always created a lot of content for Shopify. And whenever I looked at her videos earlier on that she would send me, she's like, "Oh, dropped motion," like that type of stuff. There was so many people who were like, "Michelle, so good to see you. I'm so happy you're teaching me about this." And I'm like, that is a community touch point. There's no way that Michelle is not acting as an ambassador of Shopify, building a community around herself, which scales the brand at that point. So something like this, I would almost view as a community touch point, not just as like a marketing activity, which kind of goes back to like, I'm viewing it as one more than anything. Content, community, marketing, all this stuff is just like merging into what we do. So that's my soapbox.
No,
Sorry.
I think you're right about all of this. Listen, most people don't love when I say this, but
Uh,
it's semantics.
sure.
And it's helpful and comfortable to have taxonomy and definition. It also allows us to specialize in disciplines. Paid marketing is very different than community driven brand and business building, which is what I focus on. And the differences are important, but there's no denying that they all work together like
Mm,
a symphony. Community building is over here, but it has all these beautiful touch points and off ramps to other parts of a business or a brand. There, the thing that marketing I don't think can hold on its own is that there could be an individual, an entrepreneur in Shopify's community who's never a merchant, and they matter so much to me. And they might not
mm,
be someone who ever opens a store on Shopify, but that doesn't mean they don't matter to me. And marketing is a bit closer, I think, to a P&L. Community has a longer tail impact on a P&L.
mm.
I don't know. Do I believe that? I'm trying to figure it out as we go. We're
Going
talking
through
it
the
out.
mind maze. Yeah, going through the mind maze to try and find the answer. But
Yeah.
it sounds right. I agree with the semantics. And there's something about being able to mobilize a team with the right language. It's like if you can get people on the same page through language, that's probably where it's most important. So alignment. But I'm so with you. It's like sometimes you just feel it's like this is the right thing to do. Whatever we call it doesn't even matter, but it's like that's the right thing to do at this point.
Yeah, and
Let's try
frankly,
it out.
there's no one size fits all anymore, which everyone knows, of course. That's the benefit of team and market fit. Not product market fit, not founder market fit, but is the right team working on the right problem? Are they passionate about the problem? I hate interview questions like, why do you want to work here? That's not such a great way to gauge if there's that passion that keeps you moving through ups and downs. My team right now is really excited about understanding where we stop and start with AI and how we see it as a partner and embrace it, and what that gives community even more permission to do, at least for now. Even though there are robots running around, we're still a living moat, and we're a layer of this brand and this business that other places don't have permission to be. And I've been in the business, I guess, of community my whole life. I made a newspaper from my neighborhood when I was 7 or 8 because I thought we all needed to know what was going on at each other's houses. And my mom's a teacher, and she photocopied it at her school on this big industrial copy machine. That's the first time I remember thinking there needed to be more conversation among us. Everyone needs to know what everyone's doing. If I had it my way, we would just stream all the time. When you and I talked last time, did I tell you that I want to just be streaming while I whiteboard? Because
Yeah.
I think it's so communal. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should all
100%.
be we should always be around each other.
100%. Yeah. Yesterday,
Yeah.
I was actually doing that. Like I was working on it. I was working on what I was just mentioning. Like, how do we think of top of funnel? How do we think of who to go after? Just on this stream. So I think it's
I need to
worthwhile.
plan a bit more. What are you going to talk to Sav about? Give me a preview.
Well, everything creative strategy. Also trying to get a peek into like how she works the way that she works. Do you know her?
Yeah, not
Awesome.
well enough.
Got you.
I know Dara better and love Dara, but I do
Gotcha.
want to. Savannah, you pass on this message. Savannah, I want to see you soon.
I'll let her know. I got you. I've literally written it down. But Grace, something I've always been so impressed with you personally, and then like the language you find after. One of the things I'm curious about is like to get a peek into your brain, why you tick the way that you tick. And I think the starting place for me is like goal setting wise. Like, are you somebody who operates on a, hey, I'm going to set myself a yearly goal that works into quarterly, that works into marketing, that works into daily? Or are you more like vibes? Like, how's this going to go? Let's figure it out.
Okay, well, first of all, I make sure to troll all my friends like Emmett's doing in the chat right now. I can't, Emmett, is creative strategy part of marketing? But that is a really interesting thing for all of us to think about. And goal setting for me starts with, well, of course, this annual planner that I make for myself every December and then publish online. I should make a Shopify store actually, and I'll give it away for free, like I still do. But this annual planner, which is being turned into a book, exciting,
Huge,
was the way that I started to make sense of my own ambition and give it the same support that I give at the time, my clients and now my team and my company. We spend, anyone who is watching this, anyone who knows about Shopify or Motion, anyone who's on the internet knows that we strategically plan most things in our lives work-wise. And I'm very used to KPIs and thinking that qualitative can be quantified, but I wasn't doing that for myself. And life was, in a way, passing me by. And I realized that if I only looked at these arbitrary goals of things that I could see on the surface, like a certain job, I was actually missing the meat of my life. So I started to think about quarterly planning for myself, and I anchored it not in what I wanted to do, but who I wanted to become, which works for me. So that meant creating an alter ego. Shout out to Sasha Fierce and Ziggy Stardust, people who've done it before. Rumor has it that my celebrity crush, Jamie Dimon, had an alter ego when he was getting started after he got fired in Chicago.
Yeah.
So if anyone here has a connection to Jamie Dimon and wants to help me figure out if that's true, you let me know. But I'm so serious about having an alter ego because it is the way that we can disembody and let go of our own hesitations and fears about ourselves and imagine instead what our best self would do. And I don't mean our hardest working. I don't mean a grinder. I mean the person that we generally want to be. So now I actually start each year, each quarter, defining who my best self is and what she's like and how she walks into a room and how she shows up in meetings, all of that. I'm not going to leave that to chance. I just take myself too seriously and I take my time too seriously. I'm not going to mess around with it. And other people find this to be self-serving, overly serious. It's not the way they want to live. And that's truly fine. Couldn't care less. This is for me. And other people tend to like it. So that's why I turned it into a planner that people can download. It's an exercise you walk through. It's like a worksheet. I am so dead set on this version of myself that I'm becoming every day. And a reinforcement, a way to keep in touch with those goals is this. I can show this to you because you won't be able to see it really. But every single night, I keep a list of ways that I embodied who I'm becoming. And it's the same thing every night. I just type things in, and it's because it primes your brain. It fills it with proof points, and you're much more likely to approach a situation like that. It is especially critical for anyone who is taking on a new role or starting a new job or building a project that you're going to lead. You want to be convincing yourself that you are who you want to be. And look, if we're going to gaslight ourselves, stop doing it for negative reasons. Start being really sold on who you want to be. If I'm going to yell at myself, I'm going to yell positive things at myself. Your words can either be curses or cast magic spells. I have a no tolerance policy for the way I talk to myself. Absolutely a list of words that I don't use anymore, phrases I don't use anymore. I don't say can't. I don't say should. I don't say I always. I don't say I never. It's not helpful. I have to reinforce who I want to be. And that's how I plan. I start with that. And then I give myself weekly, very pragmatic actions to take to all of a sudden get where I want to be. But it really starts with this convincing yourself.
That's incredible. That's incredible. A lot of people I've talked to both personally and professionally, like anchor to an end goal. But I think something happens where you almost forget you have to live every single day. And it's just
Totally,
like,
right.
so what you're talking about is a perfect representation of like, live in the moment. Like, don't lose track of that end goal. But it's
No,
like,
and like if you get too fixated on a finite moment of achievement, you might miss how it should or could evolve based on the world and who you are becoming and different changes in what we think. So I find that you want to be a little bit more obsessed with the journey and micro progress than a certain milestone. I mean, granted, if you're running a marathon, it's pretty cut and dried. You got to run that marathon. But yeah, I don't want to miss the boat on living and learning. And this is a way to do it in a more flexible way. I really think, listen, any marketers, you better be thinking like engineers. Think in terms of sprints. Stop obsessing over this finite point and then only doing retros and planning. No, we need to be running like we need to be operating like a product org is what I wish for all marketers. And the other thing I need to say is all these CMOs better be thinking like CFOs. The best CMOs think like CFOs. That line has to blur. And you might have one title, but you better learn how to think like your business partner. I just had to make sure everyone got through that.
this is huge. I have so many follow-up questions there, and I want to get to the hot takes. But the one that I am curious about the most is just like, I don't know if this is the right way to word it, but it's almost like, why do you think you are the way that you are?
Well, you tell me first, and then I'll answer.
For me and myself?
Yeah, why are you live streaming?
I think for me,
what in you?
a lot of my motivation comes down to try to get like dopamine hits. So I think like I have general ambition. Like if I do something, I want to try and do it well, no matter what it is. I'm willing to work hard and like put the effort in. I'm highly impatient. So it's like if it's within my control, I'm going to try and make it happen quickly. But then those three things, like when it comes to serving me, I think of it as like trying to get quick dopamine hits. Like it's very fun for me to try something brand new and see how it goes. And it's even more fun to get the learning cycle like to speed up. So instead of just learning every month or whatever it might be, I can now learn every day. I can learn guest to guest. I can learn all these different pieces. So solving problems in a really effective way gives me a really strong dopamine hit. This is an example of at work, but like going to the gym is a personal life one where it's like, all right, I feel a bit accomplished. Like this is cool on that level. So I think that's it. That's what it is for me. That's what it is for me.
You're pretty self-aware. I'm going to try to get to that place. We're going to talk through it together, but I do know why I am the way I am and how I got this way. Okay. I have the good fortune of having divorced parents who split up when I was 5. And at that moment in time, I got the best of both of them because I spent enough time with each of them individually that I didn't see them as a unit and instead saw my dad, my father, the musician, the artist, and I saw my mother, the teacher, the social worker, and I truly had this like parallel path of absorbing the best of both and then sprinkling in my own annoying traits and along the way, growing pains. But I really learned very early on that having a sentimentality and a sensitivity is a superpower for me, because I am also, as an oldest child, oldest girl, only child for 5 years, my parents took me with them to their dinner parties, to work. My dad owned a bar and played music, took me to the recording studio. I was an adult. I was at the dinner table, and I
Yeah,
learned
goosebumps.
that, yeah, it's all credit to them. I was taught that my opinion matters, but I was taught to debate. And I was taught that I'm not always right, but conversation and discourse is important. It's why I think this book, Let Them, this Mel Robbins book that's making the rounds, isn't healthy. It's creating more divide when what we need is more nuanced debate. Boundaries are fine, but the idea of let them or agree to disagree, I will never agree to disagree. I will have a conversation about it. That's what I learned from growing up with an artist and a teacher for parents. And then you can't deny that I grew up a white girl. So getting out of Missouri was the most important thing that I did. And as quick as I can, quick as I could, got to New York and put myself in the business of understanding whatever I could around me. But I'm a sentimental art teacher for kindergartners in another life. And it's why I garden. It's why I host so much at my own house. It's why I, as an oldest girl, my dad, oh my gosh, I have to show you this thing that my dad sent me the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah.
He sent me, this is why I am the way I am, if you want to know. It's on Twitter. He sent me a meme that said, "The strongest man is an oldest daughter." And
That's
I
facts,
think
by
that,
the way. That's facts.
unfortunately for him, it's true in our case. But I think I have the best of both worlds, and learning that relationships can evolve, that it's okay to get divorced, which I have not done, but I see relationships and careers now in chapters, and that the best thing we can do is leave people and ourselves sort of better than we found them. It feels very teacher, feels very
Hmm.
musician. Yeah. I'm a Midwestern, like, emotional, sentimental strategist. I have the best of both worlds.
And do you have, because this is interesting now when I apply it to like professional life, I guess what I'm curious about is how do you stay on top of the bleeding edge? So I look at you as someone who's like understands AI really well and like has an opinion on where this thing is going. And if it was AI or something else, I believe you'd be a person who's like kind of at the forefront of this kind of stuff. So what I am curious about is how do you like educate yourself on these different pieces to stay at the forefront? Is it a community of people? Is it just like your own ambition to go get that information? What does it look like?
It's not such a good question. Everyone has such different ways. And I've found that, I mean, everyone's probably going to tell you that they're chronically online,
Yeah.
and I am, but I have a system that works for me that I'll tell you about. It started with, well, first of all, I find that I learn best by myself studying and then conversing about it. So to me, I need two things. I need my private inbox where I study, and I'll tell you about that. And then I need Twitter. And I need things like this because I find that when we teach, we learn a lot more, which is why I love posting on, people might say I'm a loudmouth on Twitter or Instagram stories or TikTok. It's because it reinforces for me what I believe, and it allows us to have our principles and learning be more of a group project rather than a solitary thing. So I read absolutely everything I possibly can. And I have a couple of subreddits that I'm in. I trust my algorithm. It does a very good job. And I'm on Twitter a lot. I think I would miss Twitter as a major part of my learning if it went away. But the vehicle for the way I learn is probably more important than the actual stuff that I read. And that is for me to send myself links anytime I come across something rather than context switch, and have this inbox that I'll never give anyone the email address to. And by the time it gets to Friday and I have my study hours, everything I need to read is there. And I have a notes document that I've been keeping since 2017 when I started my last new job. And it's an ongoing place where I keep track of what I'm learning as I think. So I email everything to myself. Once a week, I have a study hall with myself. And that's an amazing, insightful idea time because I'm going through between 50 to 100 emails I've sent myself. Some are just links to tweets, some are Instagram posts, some are Reddit posts, some are papers, some are medical journals. And that way I can sit and really focus rather than context switching. And I deeply get to apply what I'm learning to what I think. It's why if I were to analyze my tweets, you'd see these huge spikes in like a weekend where I've clearly just read something interesting and I'm just like going through all this saved up information. But I need to be responsible and stay on top of that. Oh, the other thing I do is watch a lot of TikTok. Yeah. What do you do?
It has to start from a place of like a clear goal for me. So it's like, what am I trying to achieve? So let's take the stream as the example since we're here. I think a big thing that I was feeling is that the B2B landscape is shifting underneath us. And like whether it be all the young Gen Zers or Gen Alphas, like who are coming up with these AI companies and doing crazy stuff, but like the game is changing a bit. So for me, I'm just like, okay, the game's changing. What the heck does that mean? So then I will do research against that in a similar fashion. So like I scroll TikTok a ton as well, just to like get my algo and like feed my brain. And then if I see links, I'll send them to myself. And then once I have clarity, I just continue down that waterfall. So it's like, what does the game change mean? It's like, okay, like paid influencers seems to be dead a little bit. Like Twitter's not going to like that anymore. Like the event registrations are dying on webinars. Like something's a little bit off. And it's like, how are people consuming media now in this new world? Like, what does that mean for Gen Zers? And then go down that rabbit hole. And then I'll continue to cascade until I get to a place that I'm happy. And then I'll present something and refine my language after. So similar, I'd say. Same, but different. I feel like we might have lost Grace. I feel like we might have lost Grace just on the technical side, everybody. I'm going to push her backstage first and then bring her back out. Okay. So we might have lost Grace, y'all. But shout out to Emmett, by the way. Emmett, we were going back and forth. I got to get you onto one of these. Only child here too. So I feel you. We could jam out on that kind of stuff. But Grace is so interesting. I've always deeply respected Grace from just like initially seeing the tweets, but then also getting a chance to connect with her in New York. And she's always a balance of ambition with a balance of patience. It always seems like there's a calming energy to her. And then the eloquent speech to make it come to life is something that I'm always in awe about. Like that part makes it so easy for me to chat with her. And Grace knew my goal of this live stream. Like it's kind of like I'm doing this for clips, but something that's interesting that's popped up through the conversations I've been having, because I've been doing this stream for, I guess it's been 3 weeks now, right? So I've had 15 times 2, 30, like 30 conversations with different people at this point. And something that's always naturally come up is like, I want to get these clips, but these people are so freaking interesting. Like, I just want to understand why they're wired the way that they're wired, because there's so many learnings in there to be able to pull from. We had Sarah Levinger on here yesterday. And as everybody who knows who might be watching in, Sarah is a savant when it comes to marketing psychology. So it's just like having Sarah come up and talk about, like when I asked her, why does she tick the way that she ticks? Like it was so fascinating. He's like, from 0 to 7. 0 to 7 is what shaped me. When I was from 0 to 7, like that's when I saw the type of person I was and like how it had to come to life. So having a chance to get like some of these brightest brains and like their insights is so freaking helpful. I think Grace might have made it back. Let me try to add her back up here. Let me try. Let's see if we get some love. Nope, this one's not love. Okay, I see a different one. Sorry. Whoop, technical issues, y'all. Hello. We got you back?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. We're back. We're back.
Never
Did Restream kill your computer? I'm sorry.
Not at all. It couldn't handle all the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace, how are you on time, by the way? Like, I know I only had you for 45 minutes. We are over now. Are you okay?
We are. Yeah, I have a couple minutes. I wanted to properly say goodbye and close out
Okay.
our conversations. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, one question that I ask everybody who joins us, and if you don't have an answer, throw it to me first. I can always jump in first. I'm wondering, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, what is it and why?
That's a great question. I have two, but do you have one you want to share?
I share it all the time, so they might have heard me say it already. And it's just like I
Okay.
save people if it's overwhelming. So you can kick off, and then I'll jump
Oh,
after.
okay. Well, let me take it away and you can close yours out. Okay. The first is you win or you learn instead of you win or you lose. It is so wonderfully simple and applicable to anything. And the real value is not that it reframes losing. It's just that I don't believe failure exists. I believe things don't always work the way we want, but I really want to be always putting myself mentally, nervous system wise, in a position of openness and enthusiasm just for being truly being alive and being excited to be grateful for my job, grateful for my team, grateful for being here with you. And you win or you learn just constantly keeps you in that like energetic posture, which I find very valuable. And the second quote that I love is a bit more pragmatic, and I really believe in this. And any Virgos who believe in astrology will understand to prepare is to prevent. I drive my team crazy with my question asking and diligencing ideas. And my one of the most popular TikToks I posted was about how ridiculously organized my house is labeled. And I really believe that if you can prepare, you're in the best position to handle anything. Preparation sort of anticipates the uncertainty. And to that end, like, oh, I have a third quote. Can I have a third one?
Of course.
Okay. Okay. Never have empty hands. When you're walking, this is just in case you want to have a more organized physical space, which always calms my mind. I never walk to a room without grabbing something that needs to go somewhere else because I don't like things building up. I want to always be taking something somewhere or getting something done, which of course sounds like productivity obsession. But I'm particular about setting the right conditions for feeling good in my space. So get stuff done. Take care of your future self.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
now what's
so.
yours?
Honestly, I think you and I are quite alike in the way we approach
No,
things. So,
don't
so
steal mine.
I'm not gonna. It's not the exact same, but it's almost a play on it. So it's my quotes will change depending on what's going on in my life. But one that I'm leaning into right now is a Derek Jeter quote. So like shortstop for the Yankees, and what his is preparation builds poise, poise builds confidence, confidence changes everything.
Ooh, love that.
Yes. Yeah. But you see how they're similar, right? Like it's like I believe in preparation is the most important thing as well. Like, and like once you get your prep and you get your reps, you start to build some poise. Once you get enough reps, everything gets easier and that confidence takes you to the moon. So very similar, I'd say, into your preparation piece as it comes to
I
mind for me.
agree. I learned so much and learn more every single day from working with my business coach, who is more of a mindset shifter than anything else. The things that I've learned from him are so much about that quote that you just shared, which is about trusting yourself to get where you want to be and putting in the reps to get there. Like more shots on goal, more shots on goal. Get
100%.
resilient against no's. A no is just a not yet, or a not the right
100%.
person, or not the right avenue. Once you start to love rejection or see it in a different way, it really changes the game. One thing he and I did for a while when we were just getting started is we set a fear of the month. We had a fear of the month club where I picked one thing that I had told myself I was afraid of and just found as many opportunities to do it. Everything from DMing people I'd never met to sending proposals. This is when I was consulting, sending proposals that were, breaking from the traditional format. I was like, here's how I want to do things. Saying hi to strangers, whatever it was. We had one fear of the month, and I did it for a year. And I came out the other side probably louder and more of my 5-year-old self than I was before. But there's so much correlation between that and this. Actually, one thing that was so cool is during one of our Fear of the Month clubs, he and I record all our sessions. And like I said, I listen to game tape and I listen back to them when there's a particularly motivating one. And a year to the day that I started at Shopify, a year before, 365 days, I said to him, maybe one day I'll get to work someplace like Shopify. That's not an accident. You say this stuff out loud and then all of a sudden your actions follow it. It's so cool. And I have it time stamped. Oh, it was just the most interesting thing to see, because we really do get to create our future if we take it seriously enough and bet on things other people aren't willing to do.
Grace, you've been so generous with your time. I've gotten goosebumps a couple times, depending on what you said.
Where are you? Are you on? Oh, don't say your location on the internet. I'll text you, but I'll come find you.
Perfect. And I always say, is there any final words you want to leave with the audience today?
God, I've said so many. I think it's really important. I really do. I think it's so important for everybody to create an alter ego. It's the thing. All good ideas are dismissed as toys at first. We're all going to have a much more serious approach to what we want our life to be. And if you have someone in your life who you haven't said like thank you to in a while, just do it. It's contagious. Yeah.
I love how grounding this conversation was. Nobody, when I ask them to talk a little bit about themselves, plugs themselves. So I got to make sure to do it. If you enjoyed our conversation today, tap in with Grace. She is building an amazing community of merchants, but also not merchants at Shopify. So if you are interested and have enjoyed the conversation, tap in with everything she has going on. Grace, you're the best. I really appreciate the time.
I love talking with you. You're so generous to do this with people. We're going to stream in person next time.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell Sav I said hi.
I will. Okay. I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness, everybody. This is what I mean of these conversations take a life of their own. So speaking of a prepared person, Grace and I are cut from the same cloth. We've done a panel together previously in New York. That's when I met her in person for the first time. And then we had this one. Both times we will be like, all right, what questions, what stories do we want to tell? How do we make this come to life and make that happen? So we will send each other the documents. Be like, okay, take a look through. Let's talk through it. How are you feeling about it? And both times the conversation just ends up taking a life of its own on, because there's so many individual things to her, right? There's so many things that I want to dig into a little bit more. And it's like, all right, fuck the questions. We thought we would get there, but fuck them. We're going to be able to just uncover them as we go. So this is the part that's super interesting, everybody. That's the first guest we had on. You heard Grace right at the end there mention say hi to Sav. So we're going to have Savannah Sanchez joining us in a little bit. So I'm excited for her to be able to come up, because Savannah is also really awesome, for those of you who don't know. But with that said, if you've enjoyed this chat and you're looking forward to some of the other ones we have this week, what I will say is you'll want to tap in. Check us out at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive on X. We're posting all of the clips there. We are also doing a lot of the lives there. And honestly, if you have any questions where you're like, yo, get me on a stream, yo, get this person on a stream, whoever it might be, hit your boy up. I can make it happen. I don't know. I'm trying to put some pressure on myself to at least make it happen. So let me know. We might be able to help. Okay. Fantastic. So for those of you who have been there before, and while we give Savannah a couple of minutes to join, one of the signature things I do before switching chats is that I stand up. So I move from my sitting position and my back hurts to my stand-up position. You know why, everybody? Because when we were talking about goals with Grace a little bit, I have longer-term goals that I definitely set. But what I also do is there's a day-to-day level of health I need to maintain. I'm getting old, guys. I'm getting old. Everyone thinks I'm super young, but guess what? I am not. That is just my genes that are popping in. But I have a sticky that reminds me to stretch. So when I stand up, I'm trying to maintain my health. And then I have another sticky that says, stand and walk. So that's why you'll always catch me in between guests who are joining us. I always encourage everybody, if you're working and just listening in the background and you hear the sound of my voice, I will encourage you. Stand up, y'all. Get a stretch in. Reach for the stars. Oh, stretch it out. Reach to the ground. Now you can't see me. Do a little some, you know. Get it going. You know what I mean? Good to go. Everybody, I see the viewer count starting to jump, to increase. I was going to say jump, but that means go up, right? Yeah, my brain's fried. Okay, I'm seeing the viewer count start to jump. We just had the amazing Grace Clarke join us, and there were so many tidbits that were in there. She's so eloquently spoken, plus the knowledge bombs she dropped were incredible. And honestly, we didn't even get a chance to get to her hot takes. So if you're interested in checking out that conversation, what I will say is I showcased this a little bit earlier. Let's check us out at ThumbstopLive. You'll be able to go back and actually watch some of the dialogue that we've been having. And then we're also going to have Savannah join us in a little bit here, okay? Fantastic. Yeah, one of the conversations that came up in my conversation with Grace was just that idea of like community. Is it different than marketing? And then something that she mentioned, which is so real, like we're overcomplicating things for no reason, is just like we know it all plays together. Doesn't really matter. Like, do we really need to find the language to define it? And I think that language is really important when you're trying to like align a team around it. So you need the language to articulate your thoughts of why to do it this way. But what I'm always searching for, like to apply it to me now rather than the conversation, what I'm always searching for is just the ability to be able to, like, I have gut feelings and my intuition is strong to want to do specific things, but it's like having to then find the words and data points to back that up. And data points don't always mean like, hey, this led to this much money, or this is how much the CTR went up, or this is how many views we had. That's like the concrete metrics, which I think are helpful. But what data point can also mean is like, ooh, I've been in a conversation with this type of person before and it made me feel iffy. So it's like I'm recalling a specific emotion and energy from a dialogue. And that's kind of how I feel now with AI and everything, right? Because like AI is creating a seismic shift, not just in the way that like work will be conducted. That's the most obvious piece. But the one that I've been spending a lot of brain power on is just how teams and companies will go to market. How will people consume content and how do we meet them there? How do we actually tie into emotional responses rather than force feeding them information they do not want? So that's like the obsession of mine recently in terms of how we're thinking about going to market. But with that said, at the end of the day, you also want to like make sure you're happy and put one foot in front of the other, happy day by day. So when Grace says she is in Toronto now, I hope she hits me up and is like, all right, let's do something. Let's make it happen. So if we can make that happen, I will be super happy. Let me do a quick check on Savannah. Just to see if I can get her into the right spot, and then we'll take it from there, okay? Cool. Okay. Anybody was here yesterday, I've actually like completed the document when I was thinking about like our go-to-market approach. And honestly, talking to Grace made it super helpful. When Grace was talking about like her opinions on community and the different touch points that we had gone through, I now have some evolved thoughts of how this can come to life. So I think we're in a good spot. It's gonna be fun, and probably on one of the other streams that we have, I can bring you all up to speed on how I'm kind of viewing the world. But with that said, we have the amazing Savannah Sanchez who's joined us backstage. So I want to welcome her to the stage without further ado. And if I figure out how to work this thing, nope. Oh no, she's gone. She's gone. She's gone. She's gone. Okay, never mind, everybody. That was a fake out. That was a fake out. She was there, but not there now. And I think it's one of those ones where it's like technical have to figure it out. But now we're going to try. We're going to try to bring this to life. So here we go. Savannah, welcome to the party.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
I'm incredible. I cannot complain. I am standing now, so I'm like not just. I was telling everyone earlier. I have these reminders to like stretch, and then I
Okay.
have reminders to stand up because I'm getting older, and I'm like I need to take care of my body at this point.
Yep.
So I'm feeling
Good
good.
idea.
Yes, 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 yes. How about you? How are you? Where are you at nowadays?
I am currently in Southern California, just enjoying the beautiful ocean and weather, so can't complain there.
I love it. Savannah, I'm so excited to have you on and talk about a bunch of different things. To give you context, I don't think we've ever talked about the stream, but like what's been going down with some of the learnings is usually there's between 75 to 500 people who view at some given point. And then we do clips. So we push out a lot of clips after this, and our clips are actually generating like thousands of views after the fact. So it's like there's a lot of content that comes to life after, which is a different experience because like us, we typically do the live events.
Yep.
So it's an interesting format that I'm excited to have you join me on. I'm excited to have you join me on.
Very cool. I'm so excited to be here. I've been having a lot of fun hopping in on Twitter and seeing you guys do
Cool.
the streams throughout the week. So glad to finally
Awesome.
be here.
Awesome, Savannah. For the people who don't know you, I'm wondering if we start nice and easy with a quick tell us about yourself, a little bit of work experience, a little bit of whatever you want, and then we can take from there if that works.
Absolutely. So my name is Savannah Sanchez. My business is The Social Savannah. I've been doing The Social Savannah for the last 5.5 years. I work with e-commerce brands and apps on their Meta and TikTok ad creatives. So I have a team of internal creators and editors, and every week we're shooting brand new content and coming up with new hooks and formats so that my clients can continue to get a new steady stream of creatives for their social channels.
And Savannah, before you had started your own company, what were you doing before? Remind me again.
Yes. So I was actually a media buyer at an agency called Common Thread Collective.
Yes.
That was my first introduction to this whole paid social world. And what's funny is that this was in like 2018 and 2019 when it was all about media buying hacks and strategies, having thousands of ad sets, like one cent bids per ad. It was all about the tactics. And while I was doing media buying, it was slowly transitioning to like, wait, what are people actually seeing when they're seeing the ad? Like, what is the video? What is the target market persona? And those are things that were never talked about. There was no such thing as creative strategy, really. It was just showing the product on like a white background and letting it rip, or some very, very basic videos. When I actually left to start the Social Savannah, I was still doing media buying. That was my main focus, is that I wanted to work directly with brands as their media buyer. But as time went on, the conversations just kept going back to creative. I was like, you need better ads, you need better ads. That's what's going to move the needle. It's not about these hacks anymore, especially with iOS 14 and CBO, all these things that were kind of taking over media buying and making it more efficient. It really came down to the creative components of why clients were winning or losing. And so it was really in like 2021 where I focused more on creative than media buying. And then that transition to just now I'm just full on creative. I'm like, I don't touch the media buying at all. Let someone else do that. I just want to focus 100% on the creative. So I've been doing 100% creative for about the last 4 years.
And you are freaking crushing it now, by the way. Like, holy crap, you guys are crushing it. I've always been so impressed by the stuff that you're putting out there. One of the things I wanted to kick off with is like knowing your background. There's a lot of people who are agency worlds and just in general, like might be at a brand. Something I'm curious for you about is like the entrepreneurial bug, if I can speak anymore. So like, did you always know from like a bright young age where you were like, I want to do my own thing at some point? Like I want to be my own boss and figure this out.
Yeah, I've had the entrepreneurial bug since I was about 15. I actually started my own horseback riding lesson business when I was 15 called Equine Savvy Stables. And I
No way.
Yeah, that was my first business, is I would teach horseback riding lessons and do trail rides. I found a horse on Craigslist. I did a Craigslist listing of, does anyone have a horse that I can use for lessons and trail rides? And this old lady reached out to me and said she had a horse I can use. So it was a free business. I got to use this horse for free that I found on Craigslist. I was teaching lessons, and that was how I was able to save up and get my first car. And I did that for many years. So that was my first business. And then throughout the years, I've had various different side hustles and businesses since then. The main one that I did in college was running people's social media channels. Like I would run their Instagram, I would take photos, I would come up with the captions. So I've been involved with social media ever since I was 18, just running people's social channels. And that was really when it was about like hacks to get Instagram followers, things like that are completely irrelevant now. There is no hacks to get Instagram. We would run like bots, like follow for follow. And so I did my social media, like Instagram management side hustle for a while. And then I would create websites for people. So I've always had different side hustles going on. And when I was working at the Common Thread agency, it just became more and more obvious that like, hey, I can just be doing this myself, working directly with the clients, doing their media buying. It's always great to work at an agency. I highly recommend it as a career path because you get to learn from so many different people, so many different clients that you get exposed to that you wouldn't have otherwise. So it's a great way to build your resume and your experience. But once I felt like I've learned everything I can learn, then I was like, okay, I'll just reach out to clients myself. And I was already posting on Twitter back then. And so I was getting leads through Twitter of people being like, hey, like, how can I work with you for media buying and stuff like that? So it became an easy transition if I already had people who wanted to work with me. And so I just kind of funneled that way.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. I did not know about like teaching people how to ride horses. That's incredible. I actually really like riding horses. I haven't done it in forever myself. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, surprisingly. It's fun. I enjoy it.
I love it too. It's what keeps me sane from all this social media stuff and work. That's my outlet outside of work is the horses. So it's something I still enjoy every week.
So important to be grounded. And something that I ask a lot of entrepreneurs is it's like finding your niche, right? Like working with horses and people is different than social media. And what I'm always curious about is like the niche of social media. Was it because you had a natural affinity and you were drawn to it, or did you just fall into it?
I'm not sure. I think it was maybe just a circumstance thing, as most things are. I was working at a clothing store at the time, like just putting stuff on hangers and checking people out. And how old was I? This had to be in like 2007. No, 2012. I'm like, how old am I? I'm turning 30 next week. I'm like, how old am I?
Big birthday. Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you. So this is in 2012. So this is like really early Instagram. So I was working at a clothing store, putting stuff on hangers. And I was like, hey, like, have you heard of this whole Instagram thing? Like people are posting photos on there. And they're like, no, what's that? And so I told them how to make an Instagram account, this clothing store I was working at. And then I would model the clothes, take photos of myself, take photos of the other girls that work there to show like all the new arrivals and post it on Instagram. And we started getting more followers and stuff. So that was my first kind of venture into like doing social media professionally. Yeah. But it was very unheard of at the time. I mean, now it's like, of course, if you own a store, you're going to post photos on Instagram. But at the time, like I had to like convince my boss, like, hey, like this Instagram thing, like it's worth doing. So I don't know how or why I thought that that'd be a good idea back then, but it was very like new at the time. And so,
yeah. You're at the bleeding edge because you lived it. It was just like, all right, I see this thing popping up. I want to be able to like take pictures. I think you guys should do it too. Like it's a natural fit at that point.
For sure. Then, but there was really no businesses on Instagram back then.
That's so interesting. That is so, I still remember like my first Instagram post. I was at school and then it was just like the stupidest stuff that I was doing. And it's like, oh damn, people can actually see this. This probably isn't great. Like how do we clean it up?
Oh, for sure.
And then the other piece I'm curious about, Savannah, is like your own operating system. So something that I've always been curious about and I've been asking like other people who have been joining is just related to like a goal setting exercise. So what I'm curious about is like, do you follow some version of, hey, we're setting a yearly goal that moves into quarterly, that moves into monthly, that moves into daily? Or are you more the like, hey, like what are the vibes? We'll ultimately adjust based on what we're seeing in the market. How do you think about the world?
You know, the vibes, maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Not totally vibe focused. I wouldn't with social media and media buying, it is changing week over week, like what we see with like TikTok trends and what's working for paid social. And because this type of business is really so new, like being like a social media advertising agency, it just focuses on creative for Meta. Like this is still a brand new industry in the last 5 years, really, as it really blew up. So because it's evolving every month, I try to just stay in the weeds. And I just focus like, hey, for this week, what clients I have to create ads for? What new ideas can we test? How do we make sure we have the best creators and the best editors aligned? So I would say I kind of break things up week by week and measure things that way. I'm like, okay, like, am I reaching my goal per se for this week of how many ads I want to be working on and the quality of it? And I find that just taking things week by week is how we've seen success, because we're shooting new content every week. We're doing new concepts every week. My brain definitely works in more of like a weekly cycle, but then it all ladders up. But then you look at the whole year and you're like, oh crap, I've made thousands of ads. If you just break it week by week, then, and just making sure that by that Friday, all of your ads are sent to the clients, you're happy with the production, then you just start all over on Monday. So I work in very weekly cycles with my brain.
Such a good point though. Like, depending on the industry that you're in, it's like you need to be nimble. If you're too structured and like, I need to do this thing by the end of the quarter and it doesn't even matter anymore, like you pigeonhole yourself. So I quite love that. Like, it makes sense based on what you're chatting about.
For my business model, I only work with clients on month-to-month agreements. I don't have any long-term contracts. So to say like, oh, by the end of the year, I need to be reaching this revenue or this goal, it's like, hey, all these clients can leave. I mean, luckily, I've never been in that scenario. I've been in business and I've never really had a down month, but it's hard to even plan more than a month out because it's all month-to-month agreements. Clients can give their 10 days notice and they're gone. So I just have to look at it in terms of how can I make sure I'm doing my best work and getting clients what they expect. And then the result will be the result. All I can do is say like, hey, I've given you the best ads I possibly can. And I'm really proud of what I've done. Whether they quit because they're having budget constraints or whatever the reason, that will be the reason. But all I can do is focus on what I can control.
I want to speak to some of the agency owners who might be taking in the clips or actually joining us here today. So you do month to month. I think everyone is always in search for those longer term retainers, even if it's 3 months or whatever it might be there. Why do you do the month to month and like play on hard mode?
Because paid social advertisements should be performance based. And what I mean by that is if my ads aren't working, then you shouldn't be paying me to keep doing ads. So how I look at it is I am so confident in my team and in terms of the creators I have and the editors and the formats that I know to work, that I'm like, I know that you will keep coming back month to month to get more ads because you're going to launch them. They're going to look into the motion reports. They're going to see it's their new top performers. It's getting scale. And that's why I love motion too. Every client I have set up on motion so that I can show them at the end of the month, hey, this is where you were before. This is where you are after. We've improved your click-through rate, your thumb stop, your ROAS, amount of spend. And motion just makes it so easy to read. I can just send them the report and be like, this is where you were. This is where you are now. Where would you like to go? And the answer is always, let's get more. How do we scale up? How do we get more ads? So being able to communicate your value to clients. And I think it's just very obvious. It's like if I at the end of the month, if I'm like, hey, I tried making my best ads for you and it hasn't beat your top performers or it's not working for your customer, why would I want to continue? Because I'm like, well, clearly this isn't a match. Luckily, I don't get into that scenario very often, but of course it happens where it's like, hey, I really tried my best. This is my best work. This is what I thought was going to work. If it doesn't work, like, let's just end it here because let's not just keep spinning our wheels.
I did not tell Savannah to plug. So thank you, by the way. I did not tell Savannah to plug at all. But
I do use motion every single day. It's like, it's such a huge part of my process. And you have to be able to communicate your value to clients. And that's how you do it. You say, where you are then, where are you now? And just make it easy.
How many people are on your team now?
I work with about 40 creators and maybe 6 or 7 editors.
Yes. So in this world where you have like such a big production of people, when I think of the monthly piece, it's almost, and this is just my analysis of it, it's like you're creating a culture around the performance. It's like, no, we could do the 3 month. We think people would sign up for the 3 month. But guess what? Like, we want to make sure that we deliver. Everybody be on the ball. And I feel like that single decision of how you've just chosen to package it up, like, leads to a cultural build that's just like, we're going to make some amazing crap. Like, people are going to freaking love this thing and we're going to deliver freaking results. So I love the structure of it when other people are going like longer term, especially.
Yeah, and I've worked at agencies. I worked at Common Thread, and I've worked at other agencies even before then, doing other social media things. And I always thought it was a little slimy locking clients into contracts, because it created a culture of like, you're just trying to make the sale, and then you just get the clients are often felt like they were oversold, underdelivered, and that now they're trying to get out of their contract, and there's fights. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. Like I want to work with clients who want to work with me and are happy with my work. I've worked at enough agencies and dealt with enough angry clients that are trying to get out of contracts and not happy. I'm like, if a client's not happy, like, goodbye. Like, I don't want to deal with you. And it's very rare. Luckily, clients that work with me, many of them I work with for many years, they're happy, they love it. But if it's not working, like, it's not working. Like, that's just going to happen when you work with hundreds of clients throughout the years. There's always going to be some that it just doesn't work. And why try to lock them into more months and when they're clearly unhappy and they want to go elsewhere? Like, I try to put myself in the brand's shoes. If I was a brand and I was working with a creative agency, that's how I would want to work with them. It's like, hey, as long as ads are working, we're going to keep signing up month by month, and let's let this ride for years, which is what many do. But if it's not working, like, let's not force the relationship. And then I can give referrals. I'm like, hey, maybe this agency will work better, or maybe you should try this. A lot of times I tell the clients where it's not working, I'm like, I think you need to bring this in-house. Like, you need a studio. You need to hire very specific actors for what you need to do, because clearly my group of creators, even though I work with a broad range of creators, it's not fitting what your target market is. And so I'm like, hey, like, I don't think UGC testimonials is the strategy for you. I think you need to hire a studio and get this specific direction and do it this way and film and like get these specific clips. So if it's something that's outside of my wheelhouse where I'm like, I think you should bring this in-house and do it this way, I'll tell them that, just so that they have the best chance of success. I don't want them to keep doing a strategy that's not working for them.
Yeah, this is so interesting because you have very strong like business principles to live on. Like the principle of put myself in my customer, the client's shoes, then also applies to probably how you make ads. It's just like, well, what do these people actually want to buy, and what does it look like? I don't know the right way to ask this question, in all honesty, but something I'm curious about is like, you're an entrepreneur, you've gone through this, you've built up an incredible business. I'm like, why do you think you are the way that you are? Like, what are you motivated by?
Oh, I don't know. I think everything in life makes you the way that you are. I would say I just like keeping things simple. Like that's always been something that's been like a tenet of my business. Like, people always like, oh, why don't you scale? Why don't you hire all these account managers and creative strategists? I'm like, I want to keep things simple. I want to work with my small group of clients. I want to be the one that's on the phone with them, sending them the ads, getting the feedback. I want to be the one talking to creators. And maybe that's part of it too, that I'm a bit of a controlling. I like being involved in every part of it. But I think that's kind of my superpower, because sometimes I get on a phone with a new client and they're like, okay, so who's the account manager you're talking to? And I'm like, oh, you got me. You're going to be calling me if you want to change any ads or you want to talk about stuff. And people are surprised by that. And they're like, oh, like, I would expect you to have all these people working under you. I'm like, oh, you can just message me, email me, like we can talk it out. And so just keeping it small and simple has always been how I wanted to have my business. And I've kept it like that. And I think that's what makes it so successful. I think that as people scale, quote unquote, and they get bigger, then the quality goes down, which I've always focused on. How can I have the highest quality? And then I'll get better clients that way. So I'd rather have a few really great clients that I'm giving my heart to than try to figure out how to juggle hundreds of clients at a time and hiring people. And I'm like, that's someone else's deal. That's not mine. I just want to keep it simple and be in the weeds.
Do you have any recommendations for other founders out there who are like in the rat race? And it's like, no, I want to scale and I want to do this, but like they might not really believe that. Like, society pushes us in a direction so much of the time and like, be this way, right? And it's like, success looks this way. So I'm wondering if you have any like recommendations, because you've been so clear on what's important to you, and like, that's beautiful.
I think it's just knowing that there's more paths to success than just getting bigger and scaling and 10x and I'm gonna sell my business. Like, yeah, that's one path, but another path can be you have some free time to do your passions and your hobbies in the morning, and then you do some work in the afternoon, and you're working with clients that you really like, and you get to talk to them every day and be in the weeds. So I would say success doesn't always have to be, oh, I'm making more money, but it could be what type of lifestyle do you want to live and how do you want your day-to-day to be? Like, I love my group of clients. I love my small team, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think that there's a myth or a belief that bigger is better, when really I think that bigger just means more money, more problems.
More money, more problems.
Exactly. The bigger you get, the more issues you have to deal with. I don't want to have to deal with hiring and firing and scaling and management. I'm like, no. Let that be someone else's business. I want to deal with, how can I make this hook better? How can I make this creative better? How can I make this creator film better? Like, I love doing the creative strategy, and anything, the more bigger you get, the further you get away from the actual day-to-day. And I love just analyzing ads and figuring out how we can make it a bit more scroll stopping, or that type of stuff is just so fascinating to me. And I don't want to create a job where I'm not doing that, where I'm like too far removed.
Got you. The zone of genius. This is incredible. Thank you, Savannah. I pulled up some of your tweets, and I want to share my screen, walk you through some of the tweets I found, and get your thoughts on them. Okay. Perfect. So the first one is an ad, but we are going way back. So let's bring it up here.
Oh man, I'm like,
so I'll
how
make
far?
it bigger.
Come back to the Nugs days.
2021, the end of 2021. So I'm wondering what you think about this ad. Like, would you still run it? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it's still fire. I would say keep it running. What do you think, Evan?
Let's go. I thought it was still fire. I watched it, but whenever I talk to folks like you, and then there's like a learning that happens in your brain, like you are your own machine, and it's like you see it and you've seen more and more clients. So I'm always like thinking about when you see that, you're like, I would have changed the hook. I would have changed the content there. I would have added a stronger CTA or something along those lines. Yeah. But I like it a lot still. It still works.
I would say one thing that's different from back in 2021 to now is back then we would put all of our resources into creating this one variation. So this was it. Like, in terms of this creator, this type of concept, we had this one variant, no extra hooks, no anything, and that was it. And now the strategy is making separate hooks with the same ad, or changing the sequencing a bit, or changing the length. So I would say that's what's changed mostly from then to now. I still like this ad. I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm like, I would have probably made a cut there, did more B-roll there. You can always optimize, but I would say that's the biggest difference, is now it's all about how many variations can we make from the same shoot so that we can have the most chance of success. It's not about putting all of your eggs in one basket and hoping that it works.
I got you. Perfect. Okay. I have the next one here. It's more recent. And whenever I see you on Twitter, I'm seeing a lot of stuff around hooks. So you are the master of hooks, in my opinion. Always coming up with some new, crazy, and amazing stuff. What I'm curious about is, how the heck do you come up with all of these creative ideas?
A lot of it's taking inspiration from other brands. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I like to look at the top brands on Instagram and Facebook and see what they're running and see how can I adopt this to my clients. So it's not necessarily that I'm just like taking a walk and things are coming to me. So I would say taking inspiration from other brands. And another place that I get inspiration is from organic TikToks. That is the best place where you can get insights into what is thumb stopping, what are people actually interacting with, what trends are happening. I don't like to make trend specific ads because trends are coming in and out every week. All the ads I make are evergreen, but there's certain elements of it, like how are they starting the ad? Are they picking up the camera? Like, what's their tone of voice? Like, how fast are they talking? Like, how do they tell the story? There's so many things you can learn just from watching TikToks and seeing what's trending organically. So I would say a lot of the inspiration we get, it starts from an organic TikTok that has nothing to do with an ad. And then we're like, oh, wait, this is cool. Let's try this. Or this was a nice line to start with. So research is really a huge part of it. I would say I don't just like get out a pad and start writing. A lot of it is just consuming and then getting inspired. So just flexing that muscle in your brain of watching a top performing TikTok or like one that's trending and being like, how can I translate this to my product? Is there any elements here to why people are stopping and watching? And most of the time it's pretty easy to pull out those elements and translate it into your own.
And do you find if we were to ratio it out, right? Like you talked about looking at great brands and the ads they're running, and then you've also talked about organic TikTok. So in your research, is there an 80-20 or like a 50-50 of where your time is going into that research?
Maybe we can say like 33. Let's divide it into thirds. So we have 33% on organic reels and TikToks, and then 33% looking at top ads on Foreplay or going through people's ads library. And the other 33% is looking at my own library of hooks and formats that I've tested before for my other clients. So I have, like I mentioned, I have every client connected to Motion. I'm looking through everyone's historical top performing ads. Even before I started working with them, I still can see all their ad account data. And I can be like, oh, that hook worked well for this client. I think it's worth testing for this client. So I do spend a lot of time in Motion to see how can I take hooks and formats that have worked well. It can be a completely different industry, but I can dissect that video and be like, I can make this work for a completely different industry, but use the same pacing, format, type of creator, recreate it completely for a different client. So that's like the thirds, the sectors that I would say that I use is
So cool.
A lot of it's recreating existing top performers. And I have a huge running list of hooks that I've tested and formats that have performed well. I'm saying that there's like thousands of, I have a huge list of hooks and each one links out to an example. So if ever I'm working with a new client, I go to that list of thousands of proven hooks and formats I have, and it's sorted alphabetically, and I can just scroll through and I'll be like, oh yeah, we'll start with this, we'll start with that. So that has been a game changer. That's only something I've started doing in the last year, is keeping a running list of top performing hooks and formats with ad examples. And so when I start with a new client, I just go straight there. I'm like, okay, let's start with the ones that are already proven before I start like just going on TikTok and trying to create something random. I go straight to the proven ones. And that
I got you.
huge.
I got you. I also understand how it's bleeding into like, okay, what you'll post on TikTok, what you'll post on Twitter. It's like, hey, I got the list. Okay, cool. We can start banging them out. But that is incredible. That is incredible. Something I'm personally curious about is in that 33% of the organic bucket. Do you find yourself gravitating towards certain creators to see what they're doing? Or is it just like scrolling a lot to see what's going on?
You know, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a TikTok user, scroller per se, especially if I'm going on there, it's usually for very specific research. I'm not like a TikTok power user. Not an hour a day. I'm trying to keep the business rolling and all the clients happy. However, there is a girl who works for me as on like a consultant basis, and she is a TikTok like expert, lives online, chronically scrolling, and I pay her every week to save posts that she sees that she thinks can translate well for ads. And so she sends me a Google sheet of all these TikToks that she saved and which clients I have that she thinks that we can recreate them for. And that's something I started about a year ago working with her. And so that saves me my brain space. I don't have to just endlessly scroll. And for her, it's like a dream job because she's like, well, I'm scrolling anyway. If I can just save them and put them in a sheet, she gets paid for sending me those examples. So that's how I've streamlined it so that I'm not chronically scrolling. But I think that should be like the easiest intern that any brand or agency can hire, is someone that's in college who's already on TikTok and say, hey, these are my list of brands, or this is my company that I work for. Save me ads and stuff that's trending on TikTok that we can potentially use for ads. And so that's been my secret to getting the trends in a consolidated list.
I need someone like that.
Everybody
needs someone like that. That's so obvious. Like, even if you're doing organic social, like get alone ads, right? Like everybody needs that. Cause I also try to reduce my social media consumption, but I'm failing now because I'm trying to like educate myself. And I'm like,
what's the trends? No, now I have a list. And actually I just brought on another girl to do the same thing. I'm like, 2 is better than 1. So now I have 2 girls who are, cause they have different feeds and algorithms and they say different stuff. Now I get 2 lists a week of what's working on TikTok and different ad ideas for clients.
How did you find these people? Asking for a friend?
Referrals. Like I get a lot of inbound for like different creators and people that want to work with me on my email. And so I think that these 2 were referrals from other creators of people who wanted to work with me, if I can remember correctly.
Huge.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more tweet here that I want to take a look at. It's more reflection now. So this is going back to 2020. Probably around, when did you start the business?
January 20. This is Kevin, by the way. He was begging to sit.
Oh, how many dogs do you have? Is it just
Just
Kevin?
one. Say hi, Kevin.
Hey, Kev.
He's a whippet.
That was a greyhound for a second, but yes, that makes sense.
All right, Kevin,
That makes sense.
Come sit down.
My my wife gives me the comp to a whippet slash greyhound. She's like,
yeah?
if you were a dog, that's what you would be. I'm
Oh.
sick. I don't know how to feel about that, but thank you.
Are you fast?
More of a sprinter than a long distance runner for sure, but it's
Oh,
more
there you
like
go.
tall
Yeah.
and lanky than anything. Like I got long limbs, so that's what it turns out to be.
I can see it.
Okay. So pulling up this one here, going back to 2020. When did you start the business again? Like what year?
January of 2020. Officially.
Right.
That's when I left Common Thread, or December of 2019 is when I left Common Thread and was full time. But while I was at Common Thread for like the last year, I was already working freelance for a few clients on the side. So it kind of just like eased in. So in terms of like when I officially started working with clients on my own as a social Savannah, probably like beginning of 2019. And then as I got more and more clients on the side, I was like, and okay, I'm ready to go and do this full time. Because I never recommend for people just to quit their day job and start fresh. I built it up where I was like working on one client on the side, then two, and then I'm like, okay, like if I can work on 3 clients on the side, that's enough to at least replace some of the income that I was making at my job. So I eased into it.
For sure.
But 2019 December is when I was like 100% working at home as the social Savannah. And then COVID happened, so it was like crazy timing. I was gonna say home. I wasn't going into the office anymore, and then I was like, oh, well, now everyone's working from home. So
we all work from home together at this point.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions. The first one is more reflective. So like we look at this March 28th, 2020, and we are now August 12th, 2025. And it's like the journey. Like when you look at those 5 years, like how do you feel?
You know, it feels great. I think there's a lot to be proud of, and a lot of great ads I've made in the meantime. And I'm still a Facebook preferred marketing partner.
There we go.
I think that means that there's a minimum amount of ad spend tied to the ad accounts that I'm connected with anyways. So still proud of my relationships that I've been able to build with Meta and TikTok and Snapchat. I think having those really close relationships with those platforms have allowed my clients to get new opportunities for case studies and betas. So I'm really proud of the relationships I've built with those platforms. A lot of clients I've worked with even back in 2021, 2020. Some of them are still with me. So that's really cool that I've had like these really long-standing client relationships. And then it's been fun just kind of sharing everything on Twitter and Instagram. That's where it all started. That's how I was able to start my business, was sharing media buying tips on Twitter back in 2019. And that's where I was able to start getting leads and now sharing ad creative ideas. And LinkedIn is now one of my biggest platforms where I'm sharing ad creative ideas. So I've loved that during this whole journey of starting it to now, I've been able to build the community and keep sharing what I'm doing alongside of that, which makes it fun. Like when you can go through my tweets and see like, oh, this is what you were doing back then versus now. And you know, it's funny. A lot of it is still a lot of the same. I'm still doing UGC ads, even back the Nugs ad that you showed.
Yeah.
I think it's a great ad. So I'm just doing a lot of the same and trying to refine my craft and get better as every week goes on.
Love it, Savannah. And one thing I'm always curious about in these journeys is that whenever we see it, it's kind of like, wow, Savannah built an amazing audience and an amazing business, and here's where she is. But something I'm always curious and double clicking into, was there a moment along that journey where you're like, damn, like this is hard, like don't know if I'll be able to do it, but then you were able to get through? Is that something that you would have experienced?
No.
There,
I would say the biggest challenge was just leaving my full-time job and then going straight into freelancing and not being able to replace my income like right away. I would say that was the biggest leap where I'm like, am I gonna be able to do this? Like, what if I lose these couple clients? Now I'm back at zero. So that was the scariest part. But I would say COVID really changed the trajectory. That's when everything went online. Online shopping boomed. And people were way more comfortable hiring consultants instead of just having an internal employee do paid social. So that really just projectiled me, and I gained a lot of popularity. And as you get more clients, the referrals come through. And so now it's really just been a steady stream ever since, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. And I think a lot of that I attribute to just sharing my ad examples every single week. I've been extremely consistent since I started my business. I'm always sharing on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. It didn't all happen overnight, but the more that's really all my strategy is for leads is I share what I'm doing. I'm like, here's the ads I'm making. Here's some hooks I want you to test. And then people email me and they're like, yeah, this is rad. I want the same ads for my business. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it. I've never had to do any cold leads or anything. It's all been inbound from people finding me on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I would say my advice there is being consistent. Like this all happened over 6 years of tweeting every single week, multiple times a week, periods where I've gone every day tweeting and LinkedIning. What's a LinkedIn post? Is it LinkedIning?
I think it's just a post. It's just like, I did a post on LinkedIn. That's all I say. It's like, okay, who's posting on LinkedIn? Like, what's going on?
Is it still a tweet, or what are we calling tweets now?
I say tweet. I still say call it Twitter. It's like, I'm not sure. You're asking the right questions though. You're definitely asking the right questions.
Oh, man.
Honestly, Savannah, like I'm not surprised by your answer. Like even asking it, I anticipated to be that route. And like something that's been really cool to get to learn about you is like such foundational like opinions and principles of like knowing what you wanted to build and how you wanted to build it, which that clarity I think allows for you to operate a lot smoother. Whereas like a lot of the times, if you're not sure, that's when you're jumping back and forth to find what it might be. So super impressive, super impressive.
Being able to adapt. Like I started with media buying, and media buying was really my path into the social Savannah and starting this business. But then as things change in the ecosystem, okay, now media buying is kind of more automated. The robots are doing all the media buying now. I mean, they're still media buyers, but you know what I mean? It's less about the tactics. That's when I transitioned.
Oh, did we lose Savannah? Mic check, mic check. Hello, hello. Why am I lost, Savannah? I'll bring her backstage first and bring her back on to see. Hello, hello. Okay. No love. It's all good. It's so funny with Grace, literally right in the 5-minute mark, something happens and it gets disconnected. So hopefully we can get Savannah back. And I think we have. Let's try. Got you?
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I'm sorry. It's probably Restream, what we're using to stream. So I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just saying that being able to adapt is what's important. Like I started with media buying and now I'm fully creative in the last 4 years, but who knows what the future holds? Maybe in the future, it's like Chat GPT ads and metaverse. Like this industry is so new. And so just being able to be flexible, I think that's what's going to keep you from being in those moments that you described of, oh crap, what's going to happen? Like, I'm so scared. Like, just be flexible, notice what's happening in the industry, and then adapt and shift as things change.
Huge. Savannah, you've been so generous with your time. I have 2 final questions. It might turn to 1 depending on length. I'll try to get you out of here on time. But
no worries. I don't have a hard stop. We're good to go.
Okay, cool. So the first one is you and I have chatted a bunch about this, just like in the background, but it's like AI. So I'm curious to get your opinion on how you're viewing the world of AI as it relates to creative strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use AI really in any of my processes. Like we don't create AI scripts. I've tried, I've played with it, and I just find the scripts come off like really robotic and generic. And the types of ads that we're making are just very creative and out of the box. Just doesn't really fit into the AI. I don't know. I just find it to come back too generic. So it's really not a part of my process. I've even tried using AI voiceovers, but there's just something about it where it's like, you can tell that it's fake. And maybe I'm just listening with more keen hearing since I'm in this every day. Maybe a consumer actually doesn't know it's AI voice, but if I can tell it's AI voice, I'm like, no, if it doesn't sound real, I don't want it. So I think it can be helpful at doing like very minor edits. Like for instance, if a creator says like one word wrong in the script, I can have AI regenerate her voice to fix that one word. But when I have it do the whole voiceover, I don't know, something about it just seems fake. And I'm so about like making sure the ads look authentic. We're talking about testimonials, UGC here. Like it has to come off authentically. And if someone can hear like, this sounds like a robot, that to me is just a no-go. So I would say I'm leaning more towards just anti-AI, like just sticking with the formula that I know works, which is like using our real creators, telling real stories, coming up with creative concepts. I don't think we'll ever be the agency who's making the most amount of ads, because we're using all humans and we're putting my brain power into this. Like there's gonna be a cap to that. Whereas I'm sure if an agency is using AI to create hundreds of thousands of variations, so be it. But I always think that quality will be better than quantity. Like I always want to be like, I think my ads are better than the AI ads. And as long as that holds true, that people are buying from my ads versus the AI ads, then I'm still in business. But for my clients that have tested like purely AI ads, like they're never really the top performers or getting a significant amount of spends. I just don't think it's there yet. People are continually asking me like, how can we come up with more creative ideas, more out of the box? That's where clients are really pushing me towards. They're like, we want it to not look like AI. We want it to look so out of the box, so interesting, so scroll stopping, which is, what everyone wants. And so I'm always trying to think, how can we film something that's out of the box versus how can I pump out the most amount of ads the quickest with AI?
Amazing. I'm going to share a personal story that Savannah and I had a conversation in the background around, but follow up I have here is that's the, let's call it the content generation side or the generative side. Are you using AI at all in your operational process?
No, I would say I'm really trying to think if there's anything that we use. I don't think so. I think we're keeping it old school.
So here's the personal story. Here's where I'm at of like, Savannah's a real one. Like I've tried to have conversations with Savannah and be like, yo, like we should try this, right? Like this is cool, right? And she's like, nope, standing on business. Like this is my opinion. Like this is what the clients want. We're going to deliver. So anyone who's tuning in, Savannah is a real one when it comes to this. So happy you shared that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there will be a day when AI can create better ads than the ads that we're making, and great. Then we can figure out how can I use AI to scale it. I think there'll always be the need for the creative strategist giving AI the inputs. And so I think that's where the market is heading, is like, we still need the creative brains. Don't just unload your brain to the machine, but how can we give the human brain that's coming up with creative ideas AI to make the process more efficient and streamlined? I think that's where we're heading. And that's exciting to see. And I think Motion's coming out with some really cool tools to help streamline that, like with the agents and having them analyze your ad account data to try to pull out top hooks and opportunities. And I think that's the right direction, is like, how can we use AI to make things more streamlined and to help versus replace? Because I think when agencies or brands try to like replace their creative strategist or their creative producer with an AI, the results, it ends up just being pretty generic, and it's not what people are clicking on and buying from. That's really the end metric at the end of the day. It's like, I don't care if an ad is produced by AI or produced by me by hand. The client's just looking at what's performing the best. So if my ad is performing the best, then so be it. We'll keep making those type of ads. So I'm just waiting for the ad account data to show me otherwise, that if AI 100% produced by AI, if that's performing better, great, we'll go that direction. But that's just not the case.
I love it. The open-mindedness still exists. If that's what's going to win, we could do it.
Yeah. Following the data.
Following the data. Also, by the way, I had Grace Clarke on a little bit earlier. She says hello. So she's like, hi, tell Savannah I want to hang out at some point. So she says hello. Be remorsed if I did not bring it up. But Savannah, final question for you. I ask everybody who joins this question. If you don't have an immediate response, all good. Kick it to me first, and then I can help out. The question I always ask is, I'm wondering, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, what is it and why?
Oh man, I'm so not a quote person. I would say everything happens for a reason. I think that is reign true with everything in business, and ups and downs, and everything ends up working out. And then you look back and you're like, oh, okay, I'm glad it worked out that way, and I can see why it went like that. So I tend to lead my business and my personal life by that motto.
How do you stay so grounded?
How do I stay so grounded?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I guess everything happens for a reason. I guess it's just the way I grew up, and all my life experiences have contributed to me being the way I am. So that, I guess it happened for that reason.
I love it, Savannah. You're the best. I'm wondering if there are any final words you want to leave with our audience today.
We want to hear your favorite quote now. Come on. You said you had a good one lined up.
I'm sorry. So my quotes like change depending on like what's going on in my life and whatever it might be. And I anchor to quotes quite a bit because it's helpful to like describe my brain. So the one that I'm leaning into right now is like a sports quote from Derek Jeter. And it goes, preparation builds poise, poise builds confidence, confidence changes everything.
I love
like
that.
If I can be prepared and then get the at-bats, then it's like I have some poise. And then once I have enough at-bats, I have confidence and it takes off. And preparation is the most important step in that all. So that's like my flavor of the season right now of what I'm leaning into.
I really like that one. That's awesome.
Yes, Savannah. Thank you. But yes, wondering if there are any final words that you want to leave with our audience today.
No, if you want to check out my portfolio, you can find it at thesocialsavannah.com. If you want to get in touch, my contact form's on there. And if not, I will see you all hopefully on Twitter and LinkedIn.
So you can check her out on Twitter for sure. Check the portfolio out like we see here.
And I would love
ad examples.
Thumbstop. I would love to be back. So just let me know.
I would love to have you back, Savannah. I've enjoyed our conversation. It was so nice getting to know you more. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
I guess I should also say people should sign up for my newsletter, which you can find on my website. I send out weekly ad creative tips.
It's kind of like people have forgotten how to plug themselves whenever I ask them. I'm like, hey, do you have final words? And I'm like, please plug yourself. And it's like, nah, not really. Like,
reminded me when I saw it pop up. I'm like, oh, free cheat sheet of top ads. I'm like, that looks cool. I'm like, yes, that exists.
Right down here, y'all. Right down here. Okay, so tap in with Savannah on socials, like we see on X here, but also on LinkedIn. Connect. And then check out the site. You'll see the ad examples, get in contact here, sign up for the email, all that good stuff. And you got what you need.
At thesocialsavannah.com.
There you go. You're the best, Savannah. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you really soon.
Always a pleasure.
Most definitely. Okay.
Bye.
See ya. Bye. Oh, it's always the awkward moment of like them trying to figure out how to get out, and then it's just me. But everybody, this is incredible. Savannah is a savant when it comes to ad creative. Like she is so impressive, right? And something that I learned today is that she's so grounded in her foundational principles that allows her to execute in the best way possible. So something like that just like gives me so much admiration for what she has going on. And honestly, there's so many things of Savannah, I talk business a lot, but just not like the personal reason of like why she's wired the way that she's wired. And there's something quite refreshing about her approach, like knowing what she wants with complete clarity and being okay if that changes, of course. But this has been a really interesting day, y'all. Having Grace come up first with some of the stuff we spoke about of the importance of community building, and then having Savannah come up to talk about what she spoke about. It's so interesting. And like, I love this conversation. So if anybody wants to catch up and didn't catch the full Savannah talk or didn't have a chance to join when it was just Grace, what I will say is check us out at ThumbstopLive on X. Everything's going up there. I also post a ton on my social page. So if you want to check me out too, at if I can say my handle, Evan MK Lee, my middle names. We're going to keep that a secret though. So check me out there. But everyone, if you are loving what we've been putting out and these conversations and dialogue like I have, I will say, check us out at ThumbstopLive. These conversations are happening Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern across YouTube Live, X, Instagram Live, and LinkedIn. So it's going down, y'all. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we got a couple greats. It doesn't stop, literally a couple greats. So we got Jess Bachman, then Josh Durham joining us. It's going to be a fun time. If you're not there, you're missing out. But like I said, check us out on social. We're going to be posting a lot of clips there. But everybody, this has been a blast. I enjoyed the